Welcome to Frontline News from the University of Maryland School of Medicine News Center. I'm Larry Roberts. Coming up, School of Medicine researchers shed light on the effects of opioid use during pregnancy. But first, this week, the Center for Vaccine Development and Global Health became the first site in the country to begin testing a booster dose for the Pfizer vaccine.
Ready? Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
The booster is being given to volunteers who received the vaccine last spring as part of a phase 1 trial.
We are well beyond the 6-month time point at which they received their second dose. So today we're going to test their response to getting a booster dose. And that's going to be important because we need to establish whether the vaccine can respond to a boost in a delayed fashion, meaning months beyond when you got your last dose.
Since then, study volunteer Rachel Holmes moved to Denver, but she flew back to Baltimore to receive her third dose.
So now we're back, I'm back to get a booster because they've kind of seen those antibodies lower, and so they want to make sure that the vaccine continues to be effective. So it's been a really exciting thing to be a part of this and to feel like we're contributing in some way to help with the fight against COVID.
And you're good. Done and done.
Thank you.
Ooh, I did it.
This was very important. I mean, I have older parents. I think it's important to get people vaccinated if we're going to stop this, or at least reduce the outbreak. So anything I can do to help out, and being a healthy, able-bodied person, I think it's my duty to be here.
The study will help determine how long protection from the first 2 doses will last.
We don't know the answer to that. We're going to be following all our volunteers for 26 months. But in an effort to kind of get ahead of where the virus may be going, we want to collect this information earlier rather than later.
Last year, the volunteers received a variety of doses. So this leg of the trial will also ensure that the participants receive an adequate dose.
They'll look at the immune responses. So we're drawing laboratories and we'll be following these volunteers up to see how they respond to this booster.
Volunteer Sara Mollekopf, a first-year medical student, is hopeful.
Hope that it works, hope that it's not only preventing people from getting the worst form of viral disease, but actually preventing people from transmitting it.
The trial paves the way for the testing of boosters designed to fight COVID variants. Both Pfizer and Moderna are producing those boosters now.
Once again, I continue to be very pleased by the leadership of our School of Medicine faculty as a whole, but in particular, right now in this pandemic, the Center for Vaccine Development and Global Health has been pivotal. It has been very much engaged and involved in activities related to COVID-19 vaccine development, vaccine policies, vaccine distribution. Most recently this week, the Congress reached out to Dr. Newsel and requested her input or engagement and some advice on policies that they'll be developing relative to this pandemic. So once again, I just want to convey to the faculty how important their work is and will continue to be as it impacts very much the lives of our nation in a very, very significant way.
In our Discovery segment, a landmark study is shedding new light on the effects of opioid use during pregnancy. As the number of pregnant women using opioid drugs continues to rise, questions have been raised about the long-term health effects on children exposed to these drugs in the womb.
These children are often born with a neonatal opioid withdrawal syndrome or neonatal abstinence syndrome. And we're able to treat the withdrawal symptoms currently in the clinic. But what happens is there are long-term consequences that occur throughout the development of that child that we just don't see or hear until much later on.
Published in the journal Neuroscience, the study used a preclinical animal model to investigate the effects of fentanyl and better understand the implications for humans.
One of the things that we found was some anxiety and stress-like behaviors in these mice, as well as some sensory processing sort of changes or deficits. And so that was really one of the reasons why we chose to look at brain structures and systems and circuits that are involved in sensory processing.
These impairments may give rise to autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and substance use disorders.
What we were more interested in are the long-term changes. What happens to these animals when they reach adolescence and even adulthood? Because that's when we believe we begin in humans to see the long-term consequences of exposure to opioids in the womb.
Dr. Keller says more research is needed to first demonstrate that changes in the brain lead to behavior changes, and then to develop possible therapies to help children exposed to opioids. That's Frontline News. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay safe and get yourself vaccinated as soon as you can.